Hello, it's us. Or me? A tiny bit early, but I was just kind of sitting here, waiting for it to turn, waiting for like 10 minutes to pass, and I was like, you know what, I might as well just start, like, who cares? Then I just had to sit there and make sure everything was working proper. I keep hearing small static sounds, though. Yeah, I thought so. It seems like the cord might be the problem, but it's probably the computer. Not a big deal. Hello, Random. Hope you're having a good day. Thanks for rolling the dice for me. To be totally honest, this is what I wanted to play anyways. I don't know how well I will do voices, but I never feel I do them well anyways, so it probably won't matter. But for those that missed the last episode, if anyone here hasn't, but I doubt it. I do not. What's funny about my voice, Random? Are you saying I have a funny voice? Think I'm a clown? Or am I the whole circus? Huh? Wow. I mean, at least you're truthful, but I told you the truth hurts. Was that a believable sad voice? You can't. No, don't feel bad. Now I feel bad that you feel bad. It's an endless circle. Now, I may be able to do silly, emotional voices, but I still have a big smile on my face, so it's a good thing you can't see that. Otherwise, I'm kind of ruin the illusion. But for those that forgot, Sasato's back. She jumped into court and threw us across the room. Now she's like, oh, this room, it's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. Almost as if they didn't bother redrawing anything. In fact, those books stacked back there, they're exactly the same as they've always been. And the spade is still here, and that mop hasn't moved at all. It's not even like remotely looking like it's been used at all. My normal voice is funny. Means I'm not funny when I'm acting normal, huh? Don't you hate people like that? It's like, you can't win. It's okay, I appreciate your attempts. But you can't break through my wall of pessimism. Back to work. Well, good luck with work. I hope to be okay background noise as you go through your trials and tribulations, and I will go through these trials and other tribulations. It's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar. Are you sure you want to deal with this game's headaches? If you forgot, we are dealing with people who thought that instantaneous kinesis was possible and fell for a magician's trick. No, I don't. That sounds like math, and somehow that sounds more tedious than telling a scientist that he's wrong. So good luck with that. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I don't want to do any of that. That does remind me of a game that my stepdad told me about. That he played yesterday, actually. And he was like, no, you probably wouldn't like this game, but you run a zoo of dinosaurs, and you have to, like, make calculations on a notepad rather than, like, with cards or anything. And one of his things was like, what would be the downside of, like, seeing one of the dinosaurs escape and, you know, wreak havoc in the park? And you had to, like, write down all the casualties and how much that would cost you and all that nonsense. I'm like, yeah, no, that sounds really boring. That sounds really complicated and boring. I'm not very good at writing stuff down. Kinda like Zoo Tycoon, yeah. Only instead of it being a 3D thing, or I guess a 2D thing, on the computer, it's just a board game. Where you have to write down everything that happens. Like, does that even qualify as a game if you do 90% of the work? Also, hello, Mimikyu. You're caught up to the case? You watched my VOD? Wow. D&D's a little different, though, isn't it? Because, like, I've never played it, but... Like, D&D is literally you writing... You have one guy who writes the story, and then other people are using the D&D things to create their characters and stuff. Like, there's rules and regulations to it. And... I don't know. Yeah, I guess that you do write down most of what happens in D&D, or at least one person does. So that's why I'd be the worst, because I wouldn't take notes. I wouldn't take notes in D&D. He's like, no, it's fine. Like, I know my character had his fingers chopped off, but like they grow back. Well, thank you, Mimikyu. Hope you enjoyed my stupid voices. I'm sure I kept changing them awkwardly. But Sasato's back. That's what's really important. I wonder if Ryutaro came with her. I didn't know when you might return. I wanted everything to be as you left it. Literally. It's exact same room, even the same smoke stream at the back of your head. It has been some 6 months, it's true. So is your father alright, Suzy? What happened? My father? Yeah, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying you'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason. That's right, I'm so surprised when you'd be coming back soon. Surprised, but happy. Is she gonna run this joke? It's gonna make us think that he's dead or something? I think I wrote about it in my letter to you. That was all a trick. Oh, okay. I keep forgetting to change that so it's a little shorter. My father's in fine health, and obviously very relieved. I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. I'm just gonna pass by the part where your dad's okay. It was quite by accident I've been able to return to Europe, actually. Because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Scientists Symposium. I hate all these long names. International Forensic... What? That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound. All that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh! Let's tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. I heard I have a new cousin. Yes, of course I shall. And there's one other thing. One more thing. Something you wrote in your letter particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma. I know. I'll tell you all that I can. Alright. Oh, right. Another thing I forgot until I just saw her name. This lady, Jeziel Brett, she's dead. She got stabbed. I'm not sad about it. When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial in Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely. It definitely was not you, it was a reporter. Yes, her. Some reporter guy stole poison, poisoned her with it, found out that the poison was going to be very obvious that she took the poison, and then decided to stab her in the back, literally, outside of a tent, and then ran away. That awful trial? Oh yeah, for the murder of Jeziel Brett. Ooh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yeah, since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing! I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Bruno? Yeah, I suppose so. I want to play at the being of the lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe. I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. And not only did she kill the other guy, but she kind of just made fun of everyone. And was like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave. Like, yeah, I killed the guy on your soil, what are you gonna do about it? I'm literally outside your jurisdiction. Something else I've been wanting to ask you, Mrs. Sato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. It said in your letter it was something to do with a convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings. That's right. Well, actually I didn't, but the very large dog collar we found within the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. How? He wasn't there. I don't think he was there, was he? Yeah, she also tried to pin it on us. Even though she was sure she could get away with it. I don't think Mr. Natsume was in the room when we found that collar. How does he know about it? I understand when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet. Why would that be, then? Also, my sheets are, like, purple, so that's a weird analogy. Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago, but he stayed for 6 years. Can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. Hello, Citrix. And yes, this is Professor Hairbrain's case, part 2. This is right after Sasato returns. If he refuses to tell me what it is, then I intend to find out the answers for myself. Decide that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Even though, you know, I'd have like a billion secrets, such as when I pretended to be someone else in court. But that's beside the point. That's a very meaningful look Sasato's giving Iris there. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about a symposium too. He said the investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend. Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. I guess that's the judge that did the toss. Yep, she just flipped us across the courtroom for whatever reason. Something of an honor, I believe. Yeah, Professor Mikotoba is a leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say? Yes, His Excellency, Judge Sishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruhodo. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten. That guy. No, that's you. Hang on. That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder. Ah, yeah, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. With my noodle slaps. Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial. literally the only 2 judges in the game. If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy to never see that man's face again in my life. Oh, well, anyway. Sorry to disappoint. As father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain too. Won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on ahead. Yeah, remember that trial when Cosmo was there, and you guys were, like, teaming up against Jeziel Brett, who's also dead? Yeah, good memories. Thanks for bringing it up, Sato. Yeah, about the symposium. Seems like Lord Stronghart has put an awful lot of work in to make it happen. Obviously very important. So don't screw it up. I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Stronghart organizes the entire event himself. No, I turned those off. Mostly because I found out in the first trial, where you're playing as Ryutaro, Sasato's using her DLC outfit and not Ryutaro's outfit, and I had to see what she looked like. So I turned them back off. If people want, I can turn them back on. Ah. Hang on. This stupid thing broke again. There we go. Well, he's a pretty good character. He was a pretty good character. Thanks for reminding me, Mimikyu. But yeah, for some reason it overwrit her disguise. No, that was the thing freezing. It overwrit her disguise, and it's like, You know, I never actually looked at the... Oh. I also do not greatly care about the costumes, but at least for this investigation, I'll turn them on.
I am honored to meet you.
I just saved. Yes, I did. Oh, gosh. But it might be funny to see Sholmes in his other outfit. Thank you for the follow. Official content. There we go. And now for something completely different. A new outfit. It does look like a good outfit. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get a job of the Attorney General. A senior position in the British justice system. It's Sholmes, thank you. And looking ridiculous is his MO. He always looks ridiculous. Little Dragonair emote, huh? He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition. Does Sir Mikotoba know Lord Stronghart personally then, I wonder? Good luck with work, Citrix. I hope to be decent background noise for you. Also, you could make, if you want, either you or I could try to make a, like, little cloud hugging a Dragonair or something for one of your emotes. Though I haven't drawn anything since, like, October. So all of my design stuff just kind of cramped my hand up, and I was like, I need a break. And then I got into Final Fantasy XIV, so I just didn't put in the time. Actually, Lord Strong gave me a long speech about all this very subject only yesterday, so I lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen to much of it. How trying for you. What a way to put it, just, I lost the will to live listening to him talk. Jeziel Brett, woman whose unforgivable actions ended me in being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yeah, Jeziel Brett, that's a name I won't forget as long as I live. Too bad I lost the will to live. Extraordinary thing is, though, seems it's a name we should all forget. Sorry? Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. Turns out that Englishwoman by the name of Jeziel Brett didn't actually exist. What? Didn't exist? But how can that be? It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin, and she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front. A front? Who on earth is she then? Miss A. Shin. Miss A. Shin? There's a pun there. Name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It might just be mission. Her literal name and existence was a mission. It's a complete mystery. But that makes no sense. No easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to? Afraid I really don't know. Only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand. And now she's been killed, while all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. I'm afraid so. Hey Shin, who on earth was she? Why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? Have we heard that name somewhere? Let me think. Oh well, I'm sure the game will spell it out for us. After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange. I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. That visiting student's fate. Ow. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know the guy ever made it to England. Then he died on the steamship. Then he'll never... Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma. What'd you learn? Nothing. He was dead. After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port in Hong Kong and passed to the care of the consulate staff there. Should have been. Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared. What? Kazuma's body vanished? One of the names are revealed in the Morse code. I don't remember. I remember Gregson, Kazuma, Sholmes, maybe? Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Kazuma isn't there. Did Professor Mikotoba know about this? Yes, seemed that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma's body as we speak. I just don't believe it. Did I absorb the body into my sword? I mean, Kazuma's sword? Kurama, explain this. I can't believe it. What's this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Burya were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be that he's actually still alive? Stop it, Mr. Naruto. It's too much to bear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Did he hit his head and get amnesia and think he's someone else? Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruto. When Cosmos was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly. Ah, you're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. Which he's done several times. No reason why he would possibly have done such a thing, even though he's done it several times. I suppose that's true, yeah. The idea he might still be alive somewhere wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. Because if it turned out to not be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I'm terrified of what that might do to me. Oh, Miss Sasato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Sasato we're talking about, after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. We'll push it later. Well, now I'm like 99% sure it's the apprentice guy. It's gotta be. And I will stab him. Unless he has amnesia, in which case I'll just smack him on the head. For old time's sake. Give me back, that spade's been here since we first moved in, hasn't it? Sure, I told you before, Mr. Naruto. It's not a spade. It's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. But that's scooping up loose material. It's a shovel. The great spade shovel war wages on. Why no? He deserves a smick. Station was on the list? Okay. Interesting. Haven't I done all the things? I don't know what any of it means. There's some ghost story stuff going on. I've done all the talking things. What else do I need to do here? Still taking good care of that armband, I see. So pleased. Yeah, well, it feels like I wouldn't be me now without it, to be honest. Oh dear, seems to be a thread coming loose just there. Look. I'd only be too happy to mend it for you, Mr. Naruto. Ah, thank you. Must have scraped against something again when you flipped me through the air. I'm always doing that. Then take better care of it, please. It was all going so well, until I ruined it. Relatable. About this paper, Mrs. Sato. Yes, it's all about the Great Expedition. I've been dreaming about it, you know. Sorry you were going to miss it when you were called back to Japan. So was I. I felt desperately unlucky. But here I am, back in London while it's underway. It's a dream come true. Actually not as unlucky as you thought, then. Once we've helped Professor Hairbrain out of his terrible situation, we'd explore it together. And of course must invite the Professor's good friend, Lord Van Zeeks, as well. Luck might not stretch that far. Kinda hoping she would look at the back of the paper. What part of this am I... Wait. I have water gently boiling on the stove, I see. Feels wrong somehow if I can't hear the water bubbling away. We have plenty of logs. Not like we have to worry about paying for gas. Important to open the window for fresh air when the fire's burning, though. Can't keep it closed just 'cause it's cold outside. Could be a matter of life and death. Avoiding the freezing winter air is a matter of life and death, too, if you ask me. Oh well, perhaps a nice cup of tea will warm me up later. Oh, maybe Iris has stuff to say. I didn't even realize she was still here. Must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. They called it The Hound of the Baskervilles. But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it. And put the manuscript somewhere no one could get their hands on it. Nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? It's weird that even in a flashback, she shows up in her new outfit. Oh, it all sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it. Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh! I'm only sorry I'd had to keep it from you for so long. Iris. It was completely by accident I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. A short while before we left behind, I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles. What? My Baskerville story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time. But Father came in and... Shadow, what are you doing? I'm cleaning your desk. Oh, Father.
You look at those papers.
No, I simply read the label, that's all.
Well, I put it out of your mind.
Sorry?
Forget that you ever saw it. And certainly don't tell anybody else about this, such as in a flashback. Do you understand?
What was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan? I have no idea. When I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions. And there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I have no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. But thank you for being so honest, Susie. I don't know the Baskervilles story, so I don't really know what this is going to end up being about. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've commented every detail about the case to memory, even though I just got here. Also, it was committed, not commented. Please like, commit, and subscribe. And Iris told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well. Now you're fully abreast of the situation already, Mrs. Sato. I expect nothing less, to be honest. I think our first port of call should be investigate Mr. Drebber. Engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick. Yeah, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it. Maybe one day he'll be a white mage. By the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic. Then we need to go to arrest him. Well, yeah, he must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really need to find the man. Sounds like a case of tracking someone down. Job for the police, and a great detective. Best to guess who she might be thinking of. Not have much time, so we need to get started right away, I think. Even though we've been here for almost an hour already. Good idea. Well, best of luck then. Oh, you're not coming today? I'm going to Brixton Road for the herb market. Let me know how you got on, won't you? You're not even a follower. You're not gonna get dinner. That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Now I can move. Hello, Griffey. Hope you're having a good day. Let's see, is Sholmes here? Nope. I can't go to the... I can't go to the thing. They're still up there repairing that? Look at the dog! I had no idea there were so many people in the world. I know what you mean. Really packed here today. Feels as though it would have taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds to this point. Has it? I shut my brain down, so I didn't really notice. You have one of those? Shut up. Gosh, I do wish I had your absence of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruhodo. There you are. Had a feeling you lot would show your mugs before long. Oh, I thought it was Gina. Hector Gregson! See your hard work as usual. Warm greetings to you. I do hope you've been keeping well since we last met. What's with all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this morning. Not you, Sunshine, the gentlewoman so loyally at your side. Oh, why thank you, Inspector. How good of you to notice. Might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. As you probably guessed, we're hoping to investigate the scene some more. Right, well, that's the young trainee's domain. Oi, get over here, Gina. Seems to be busy playing with the puppy. Probably giving a traditional East End training. Gina? She's a police officer now? Amazing, isn't it? He's a good kid, actually. Heart's in the right place, anyway. Got the detection bug, if you ask me. Yep. Think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely. What do you mean? Been transferred. Time for me to say toodaloo to London. Oh no, really? That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you gonna be posted then? We'll come see how you're getting along. Haha, not likely. You're welcome to try. If you don't mind a trip to France, that is. France? I've been working at Paris police office prefecture. Should be right up my alley. But France, entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there? That's the way the adult world works, sunshine. Don't go poking your nose where it's not wanted. I'm intending to take the kid with me when I go. What? You're taking Gina to Paris? I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what'll become of her? I suppose you're worried she slipped back into slipping her hands in people's pockets and purses. I don't think he's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruto. I think he's worried about the Reaper. Oh! Oh, of course. That's playing on Inspector Gregson's mind too, is it? Anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this to Gina, so don't go blabbing, you hear me? No, of course not. Gotta keep the diving diva safe and sound. Till all this is over, at least. Oi, you just called me a bloomin' diving diva again. You heard that, did ya? Right, well, any question about the scene you can put to my capable detective diva here. Alright, you heard the boss. Inspector Lestrange's in charge here now. I suppose I better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. So, Gina, got a new dog, have you? Look at the little pup. Ain't he great? Toby's his name. He's quite the fox, I'll say. Oh, how delightful. He's absolutely adorable. Yeah, the dog does seem lovely. It's not so lovely Inspector Gregson's playing on my mind, to be honest. Also, is Gina not gonna, comment on Sasato being back? Gina, I actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like. Oh, that's alright, is it? I'll be playing with me new friend here. Ah, yeah, Toby. Woof. The machine that exploded must be top of these stairs, I presume. Haven't actually seen it yet, if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Oh. Like I told Odo yesterday, even I ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? Reason we ain't supposed to touch it? Special Disposition Science Equipment Act? That what you were thinking of? That's the one. That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What do they call again? Forensic something? Forensic Investigation Team. Ow. That what you were thinking of? That's the one, yeah. But isn't the case that special disposition's been lifted? I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with you. Supposed to be get permission from some bigwig or other as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something? I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. Think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps? That's the one, yeah. Apparently he's always watching the time or something. Without Lord Strongheart's express permission, we can't investigate the stage. Okay. Don't worry, I'm sure the dog will be in court at some point. I mean, they put a pigeon in there. Why not a dog? Actually, we already had a case with a dog in it. Where it cleaned up blood or something. Not in this game, but a different one. It was great, weren't it? I had a laugh alright. That's a new one on me, that. You know, being in court and not spending the whole time worrying about to be found out. You did keep an awful lot of secrets in all your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, and Odo's made things odd for me every single time and all. Just doing my job, Gina. Watching someone else get in the next a lot of fun, actually. It was amazing when you showed that Dodgy Professor's dodgy experiment was a total fix. The Dodgy Professors you put again as Mr. Naruto's client. Yeah, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though. Yeah, we did kind of get him free, and then the guy was like, no, that's wrong. Boss I feel sorry for. Sent off to do the impossible. What do you mean? He's supposed to arrest that other cove, ain't he? And in time for tomorrow and all. You know, the dodgy engineer. What's his name again? Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber. That's the one, yeah. The police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. I guess they would be. Putting too much on the boss if you ask me. Says giving him the gut ache. Oh dear, but I do wonder if that isn't actually from all those fried foods. Not only to just save your false hypothesis, but a hypothesis that you never tested before. So you have no idea how it works. He just went on some nonsense about how metal can't be transported. And then when we point out that metal was transported, he's like, oh, well, that's different. What? Scotland Yard trying to track down Mr. Eno's Drebber. Wonder if they had any luck. He's really funny looking. Got two eyes what don't match. Stole a glimpse of a picture of him earlier. Me and I didn't actually pinch you or nothing. Old devil's got it. Alright, who? You know, that scowling reaper what's always glugging down glasses of that blood-red plunk. Plunk? Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. He's always adding for me, that cove. Don't know what else he's scowling about, mind. Probably would have been pretty good boss as it goes. Rather be the Reaper's apprentice than a detective's trainee. Way I see it, the choice is between chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-glugging demigod. You're equally badly off with both. Is he a demigod now? I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that. Now we put that one to bed. It's well within the 20s. 20s or 30s. He's just thrown into that stupid torch. And he's probably thrown at least 5 or 6 of his own wine bottles into the audience. Which, hey, that's either knocking someone out or they're getting free wine. Anyways, point is everyone at the yard's dead set on following the fishy engineer. Don't seem to be no clues to go on, so they're stuck. Nothing can lead us to Mr. Drebber at all. Alright, most important one, Toby the dog. Where'd you find that little mutt then, Gina? Oi, don't be so flamin' rude, Odo. Light overreaction, don't you think? Ain't no mud, alright. Toby's, how'd they put it? Oh yeah, a bona fide detective. Sorry? Giving him a proper title and everything. Chief Inspector Toby to you. More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he? Oh, so he's police dog, is he? Police that recruit dogs now? Heard they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing. Used for chasing criminals and such like. They have a wonderful sense of smell, after all. I have a fairly good sense of smell myself, as it happens. Tell the undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't. Ha! That's nothing compared to this little fellow, Odo. Oh, really? According to what the boss said. Once Toby has got a good whiff for your drawers, he could chase that scent to the other side of the world. What? To the other side of the world? You mean he could swim? Mr. Naruhodo, I think you may have missed the point by a rather wide margin. I just can't believe this little dog has such an incredible skill. Can he doggy paddle? I'm telling you, Odo, there's gonna be more and more dogs doing their bit for the police in the future. Yes, I agree. Right, one of these days they'll be barking orders at Elslot, not the other way around. He already is. Oh dear, sorry Gina. I don't think I agree with your provision quite that much. Well anyway, whatever you think about, Toby is Britain's first police dog. I found him down in the East End the other day. Someone had just chucked him out on the street. There you go. I knew she lifted him from somewhere. Oh, Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and animals. Maybe we can get him to sniff the crossbow? Gina, would you take a look at... Oh, where'd it go? Heh, look over this, Odo. Why'd you do that? Wonder if you got anything else to show me, eh? What do you reckon? Give that back first, please. Hello, Reeslane. These are the DLC outfits. We briefly used them on the first case, but it messed up Ryu Taro's outfit for some reason. So I turned them off and then turned them back on just today. Ryu and Sholmes both have different outfits on as well. You'll see them eventually. Gina, have a look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Me looking down on everything from up there. I love all that places me. Really? If I'm honest, I can't stand looking down at the ground when I'm high up. I always have to look up. Shame. I want to show you what it's like, but there ain't no point now. Why not? All you're gonna do is look up at the sky. I ain't gonna be able to look down on you. With you. Sorry. I mean, I don't like look down on you or nothing. If you don't want to do it, that's your choice. I didn't think I'd ever go but balloon, to be honest. Not in my whole life. Now I'm starting to think I might like to. Okay, so we can't sniff these, so there has to be something else around here. Here's the scorch in the ground you mentioned. Yeah, and what's left of the green balloon's envelope. Clear evidence balloon exploded on the day of the incident. Poor Professor Hairbrain. I do feel sorry for him that his dreams have been shattered. Or in this case, popped. Someone's well and truly burst his bubble, as it were. Ouch. I'm a bad person. I might be worse since I made the joke faster, but... Ah, the Crystal Tower. Hairbrain's fine, but his hypothesis was proven to be false, so he's feeling like he's dead. Can't believe seeing it at such close proximity with my own eyes. You've been really looking forward to seeing Great Exposition, haven't you? We're still defending him. We're trying to find the engineer that's responsible for this whole charade. Oh yes, when I found out I had to return to Japan, I'm afraid I cursed my luck. But here you are, back in London, gazing up at the magnificent tower. I know. Perhaps I was wrong to curse my luck so harshly. Alright, let's go... see Mr. Strongheart, I guess. Who's this? White hair? Sasato came back at the end of last stream. She apparently showed up in court and was watching for a bit, then jumped down when we were about to give up and flipped us over the table. Who's that standing beside Mr. Strongheart? Lord Strongheart. I wonder, I've never seen her before. Her.
Ah, the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand? And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result.
Oh, well, you mean because of Professor Hairbrain's experiment?
The sham science being demonstrated at London's Great Exposition. The country's been made to look foolish. And now politicians are scrambling to respond. Lord Van Zeeks is in Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing.
Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble.
None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. The special dispensation that prevents investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, my forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time.
It's scrap metal now, is it? Until later then, Lord Strongheart.
Yes, thank you.
Goodbye. Who was that?
That was Dr. Courtney Seed, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading forensic investigation team's handling of this case. She was just delivering her report about the victim, in fact.
Oh, I see. About Mr. Asman.
Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to reevaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her directly. You can find her in the forensics laboratory.
Yeah, right.
Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time. 38 seconds, 39 seconds.
He's not quite running spectacularly late anymore. What exactly is forensic investigation team you mentioned before?
The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary of the world. I can read words.
White hair is just a normal anime thing, Rieslane. No, it would not be fun, especially with how precise he is and how slow I am at reading.
For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace the forensic science, everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago, unofficially of course, to pave the way.
Goodness, a year ago? Also, hello, I'm here.
At next month's symposium, I intend to present the results of the work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensic division. And once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly.
What do you mean?
For too long, those scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes. But London's scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell. I intend to see to it personally. By creating the finest police force the world has ever known to protect our honor and our future.
Look at those eyes and those birds. He means every word.
Dr. Seeth is extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensic division at Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman.
Might be a villain. What gave it away? Was it the 2 suits of armor? The birds? The giant clockwork orange-styled background? Nah, it's the hair.
Is it the pocket watch? Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikotoba.
Oh, yes, my lord?
Your father should be in the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan.
Yes, that's right. I understand he'll arrive at the beginning next month. Are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart? With Professor Mikotoba, I mean.
It was many years ago now, but yes. I remember Dr. Mikotoba very well.
Mr. Lion Man? Yeah, they have the same air about them. Though I think Strongheart holds himself a little better.
My memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Britain as a visiting student.
It was the year I was born, so yes, 16 years ago in fact. I guess she's 16. I don't recall looking, but...
Mikotoba was a young practitioner of forensic science, and Jikoku accompanied him as a young, promising judge. The punctualness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly.
Yeah, he doesn't want to destroy the world for the sake of question mark. I never really got... what's his face? The Lionhead's name, or... I never really got his goal. But it's also, I didn't really get the goal of most of the villains in Pokemon. Like the stupid teams in Ruby and Sapphire. It's like, we want to flood the earth so everything is water. Well, we want more land. What, guys, that's not how that works. You'll kill us all, either way.
Not that I wish to imply the impoliteness or carelessness on your part in any way.
I didn't think that you were.
Dr. Mikotoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Siner's, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Seeth was also...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure her name is Seeth, isn't it? She's the Reaper.
Dr. Seeth was also there then, as it happens.
Then Dr. Seeth knows my father, does she?
She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt that I can word. so I doubt their paths crossed regularly. But I have no doubt they knew each other superficially. After all, Dr. Bikotopa was here studying his subject for some 6 years total. So move the equator. Mimikyu is gonna be the next villain in Pokemon Arceus. People are evil, and thus there is suffering, so all living things should be destroyed, so suffering ceases to be, and the world is forever beautiful. Does he not? Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Because I think I remember thinking, does he not know that trees and stuff are also living creatures? You know, the things he finds beautiful are also alive. Yeah, we're apparently supposed to have snow soon, but I hope we don't. 6 years, that's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it? I lived with my grandmother in those years. So he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years? It was a rather turbulent time at home. Oh. Perhaps father wanted a reason to get away. What do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. Go steal some of Rieslane's snow. Wanted to ask you about Lord Van Zeeks, actually. Heard his older brother was killed some years ago. By a mass murderer known as the Professor, who targeted nobles and royalty. Is that right? You Japanese are thorough lot. You've done your research well. Yes, and you could say it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper. What? Why? When his brother, Clint Van Zeeks, was murdered, it was just after young Burrock had graduated from the University of London and became the prosecutor. When obvious criminals who managed to evade conviction in the court started disappearing, rumors quickly spread throughout the capital. Londoners started to say that wherever Burrock Van Zeeks went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind. Oh my word! Lord Van Zeeks is the Reaper. Is the ghost of his brother? Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles. Oh yeah, Lord Strongheart, go ahead. About Professor Harebrain's experimental machine. I'd like your permission to examine the remains, if possible. Oh, well. Never been asked that before. Are you well versed in science, then? Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently. Well, the special dispensation legally preventing investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Scythe's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation, but I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing. Thank you. Being able to look at it is better than nothing. And I'll be able to see it too. Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. My next engagement calls. We are extremely sorry to have troubled you when you were so busy, my lord. I have important matters to attend in preparation for the symposium, you understand? A new location's been obvious. The forensic laboratory, if we so desired. Let's go here. "23rd of October, Madame Tusples." Oh my, no wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home. Be the confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that. Relatable. I was looking forward to the reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere. That's strange. He should be here investigating the abduction of the waxwork. I suppose I'll have to come back again later. So I guess he's not here then. Hmm? And the North Pole, obviously. That's the only place that gets... Oh, no. spooky, scary owl man. Since murder was such a shriek. There's someone's spine up there in a jar. There's a skull. Someone's brain, probably. There's 2 birds. I believe this is it. Dr. Sai's laboratory. Chemical smell really assaults the nose. There's plenty to assault the eyes in here, too. Looks as though the doctor isn't here. The doctor isn't in. But we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think? What a seasoned tourist you've become, Miss Sato. Could just have a little look around. Being careful not to upset any restless souls. Let's look at the birds. That looks like an owl and a crow up there. I know, and they haven't even twitched since we came in here. Well, no, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts, Mr. Naruhodo. I was afraid you're gonna say that. I've been trying very hard to tell myself they're just sleeping with their eyes open. How is that less creepy? Thinks perhaps you were wise to put something like your Daruma doll on display in the office instead. What's less creepy, them being taxidermies or, you know, just sleeping with their eyes wide open, staring at you endlessly? I suppose this is Dr. Sight's desk. Yeah, I would not like to work in a place like this. Very tidy though, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Imagine how efficiently she must work. The lighting is poor, which is bad for the eyes. The chemical smell can't be good for you. Not to mention the skeleton watching over you as you work, which is definitely bad for the nerves. Well, yes, those are valid concerns, I suppose. I can just about cope with one-eyed Daruma doll watching over me, that's all. Hey, look at this! What a magnificent display case! Cherry wood has been polished to a high sheen, and the intricate carving is a joy to behold. Western cabinets really make me very skilled, aren't they? Very skilled, aren't they? And I'm desperately trying to ignore the skeleton. Do you have nothing to say about the skeleton inside, Miss Naruhodo? I don't have anything to say about the skeleton inside you. Why would I have anything to say about the skeleton inside this box? Aren't we all just skeletons inside boxes? Mrs. Sato, can't you tell that I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of the case? It's how I cope. I'll be sure to remember that from now on. What? Did you not find that exchange humorous? You have a skeleton inside you. Look at all the bottles and shelves in the cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals. Ones here are labeled highly toxic. Ugh, that's worrying, because there are also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in there. Oh yes, they actually say salt and pepper on them. Doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she has meals in here sometimes. Life goes on, even when you're surrounded by death. It seems like a really bad idea to put highly poisonous materials right beside your salt and pepper shakers. Of course, what do I know? I put oils on my food and then put salt and pepper on those. Table and a set of sharp tools. We consider such an isolation, blah blah blah. That's why you would put them side by side. They seem horribly disturbing. Yes, we're going to find out that someone wasn't poisoned because they actually used salt and pepper instead of the highly toxic Saltina machines. Seeing a large Thomas open the desk makes me wonder, though. How can anybody concentrate on bookwork with this acrid odor of chemicals in the air? Either have a cast iron constitution or a really terrible sense of smell. Anything else? There's a box. Is that it? Well, no, there's things up here. Large jars seem to have pale things floating around inside them. Suppose they're fruit liquors or something, or like the pickled ambrosium plums we make at home. Ah, Father had jars like that in his laboratory as well. I expect they're human organs from preserving solution, probably as examples of some rare medical condition.
Mrs. Sato, there are some things in the world that's perfectly fine to never know about. Ever. Oh, so as I said, I'm sure they're fruit liquors or ambrosia, aren't they? Of course. What else could they possibly be? Definitely not organs. Definitely. Well. Gina, we're actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like. Oh, that's alright, is it? Gonna be playing with your new friend, eh? Ah, yeah, Toby. Oof. Machine that exploded at the top of these stairs, correct? I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Like I told Odo yesterday, keep an eye ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to do it. That's the one. That's why all of them lot are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? That's the one, yeah. In the case special decision been lifted? Think so, I don't really get it, but truthfully with you. Supposed to get permission from some big wig or something. We already did all this. Actually, we've just recently been to see Lord Strongheart. Eh? You what? You met him? Last time the boss was called to go and see him. He waited for 3 hours at the Cove's office and came back sniffling. Tragic. Well, Lord Strongheart is going to give us permission to examine the scene as long as we touch nothing. Oh yeah? Honestly. Alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'll be the boss who gets it. He'll never eat another chip again in his life. So you're still saying all this above board, are you? Yeah, we really should have gotten written permission, but Strongheart just kind of ditched us. I'm sure everything will be fine. Yeah, it really would be tragic. Alright then, Liam's the stairs, off you go. Thank you, Kina. There's lead up to the experimentation stage. Let's go and see what we can find out. It's still, like, kind of dripping electricity, which is probably not normal. Oh my, so this is the machine. That was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis had taken place. Yeah, that's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It's all a little worse for wear at the moment. That extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrain went to in order to obtain a research grant. No, the professor was tricked as well. He didn't know anything about it. I'm not a robot, so no, I do not. Yes, of course. It's amazing though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is very British. You're right about that. You never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure. You know about ninjas, right? Oh look, is that... Lord Van Zeeks? No, I think we're more or less done here, aren't we? Shall we, Mrs. Sato? Already? He is the Reaper, remember? We do well to keep our distance, I think. We have permission to be here from the top. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine. As long as we don't touch anything. From the top? Do you mean Lord Strongheart? Exactly. We can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like. She could have been the center explosion here and it wouldn't have bent her steel will. Or her steel wool. This catches my eye because it's a different color. Oh. What a terrible explosion it must have been. Even the steel girders have buckled and twisted in the blast. What they call the birdcage was right in the middle of it all. Looks like it opens up. But look, Miss Naruto, that metal griddle on this floor. Looks as though it's designed to open. It does, doesn't it? If the floor had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred, the birdcage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight. I don't think there's any doubt this very elaborate hoax, is there? So whoever was in the birdcage actually just kind of walked off. Least approachable man in the world winner, 10 years in a row. Be strong, Miss Naruto. Your country and your assistant stand firm behind you. Lord Van Zeeks. Hello.
What do you want? What?
Yeah, well, beautiful weather we're having, isn't it?
I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs.
There are no signs. Oh, I read them. I just don't care.
So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited.
He can't be a vampire, Mimikyu. It's clearly sunny here. Well, the thing is, Lord Chief Justice Strongheart gave us permission to investigate, on the condition that we didn't disturb anything.
And yet you've managed to disturb me.
Ah! Ow!
Never mind. State your business then.
Come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Van Zeeks about. Not least of which is that awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this. Ask away, Miss Naruto. You won't know unless you try.
Ugh.
Special sunscreen. Yeah, good old vampire sunscreen. Guaranteed to keep out the sun rays. Keep you paler than the moon. So, Clint was the name of your older brother, I understand. Lord Van Zeeks.
You Nipponese, I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So, you've been investigating me, have you?
Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, alright, it is a bit like that.
My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Van Zeeks family. You may have heard this before in Edgeworth's report about his father being the defense attorney, but we were already prosecutors. But tragically, the vicious killer took him from us.
The professor, you mean? Is something funny?
That's the extent of what you've discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised.
Sorry? There's more to it then?
Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it?
I've beaten you like 3 times. Ugh, you're too kind. Are you going to tar all Nipponese with the same brush next?
So tell me, what is your interest in that historic incident?
As it happens, Lord Van Zeeks, there's a rather curious case has come to our attention. Are you aware of Madame Tussible's Museum of Waxworks by any chance?
I am, naturally. I believe that since last month I feature in one of the displays there, for public scorn.
Here's the infamous Reaper of the Bailey would be exhibited, wouldn't he? Well, a particular waxwork's been stolen from the place, and he held for ransom.
A particular waxwork which... Wait, you mean...
Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Sholm's investigating the case as we speak.
I was unaware of that.
Turned as white as a sheet. Are the police trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Drebber, already?
Surely that goes without saying, considering it's already been said.
Very keen to see him found as well. Trouble is, we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier. Which, according to Professor Hairbrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has straight white hair and wears a black monocle. I was just wondering, I realize it's probably not possible, but very much appreciate any more clues you can give us. Wow, Sasato really knows how to take the bull by the horns.
Fine, why not? I have a photograph, it doesn't make me laugh, of the man here from the investigation 10 years ago.
10 years ago?
Though it appears he already had a black monocle at the time.
No, we haven't met him before. Unless he turns out to be the doctor, but that doesn't make any sense. What? Oh, no, nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us.
We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow, which means we have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available. So why wouldn't I show you the photograph? Does it make you laugh?
It is about Lord Van Zeeks. Sometimes I just can't work him out at all.
Photograph of Dare has been entered the court record.
Because it's so easy, random.
Hey, here he is. Ah, the file I requested for the trial tomorrow. Thank you.
What are you, a vampire? A photographic vampire? Hey, person. Definitely isn't Kazuma. You alright? Who is this man, Miss Naruhodo? Lord Van Zeek's apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Sasato can see it too. Lord Van Zeeks, may we speak with your apprentice for a moment?
With him? Why? Nope, nope. He vanished.
Kazuma!
Oh no, he's back. Kazuma?
I don't believe it! Your posture, your presence, it could only be... It's you, isn't it, Kazuma? I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure. As if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Kazuma?
Nope, he was a ghost.
Wait! Too late.
What's going on here? What is your interest in my apprentice, exactly? You act as if you know the man or something.
Well, since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago.
Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now, with instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor.
But he didn't tell you why, did he? Think of the bandana. If he takes off the hood, the bandana can flow free. But can any of those flow in the wind, even inside a closed room? I don't think so.
The man appears to be suffering from amnesia, of course. He's forgotten every last detail about himself.
He has amnesia?
Tomorrow he will appear in court at my side.
What?
He's to serve as my judicial assistant on Lord Strongheart's orders.
He'll be in court with us?
Now then, unless I'm much mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course.
Oh, I mean, not really. We didn't answer your question, but... Yes, thank you. Definitely saw a reaction there. When Sasato called out like that, he really seemed to hit a nerve. When she called out Kazuma. Alright, what else can we look at here? There's the bird cage. This wasn't here yesterday. Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing on before you apparently beamed through the air. That's right, the bird cage. According to what Professor Harebrain said in court, it's made of wood. Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. Despite having been an explosion and the falling from such a great height, it's relatively unharmed. I'm sure we'll draw the sword, and then he'll grab it and be like, I remember. What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruto? I understood the forensic investigating team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. Suppose they must have brought it back here when they finished their work. But sadly not with the body inside it. Sadly? No, that's right. I know we were given a strict instruction not to touch anything, but still... This is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. You might need it for trial. Wait, are we just gonna pick that up? I already met that masked man, hadn't you, Miss Naruhodo? Yes, yesterday, in fact. at Lord Van Zeek's office. I see. And if Kazuma's really still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us. I know. We're gonna need to speak to him about that. You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems. What sort of problems? Foreign affair problems. Well, we could do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Mr. Sato. Of course. Maybe we'll finally pull out the sword and cut his mask in half or something. Gina, actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like. Apparently we can't look around because the stage down because the forensic investigation team won't work. Can't you do anything, Gina? In your capacity as Inspector Lestrade? Look, I'd like to help you out. I'm just a trainee, ain't I? Ain't nothing I can do. And it suits you, yes. Doesn't really look like there's anything important around here. So, I'm leaving. Well, he's still not in Madame Tuspel's, so Hairbrain it is. Oh no. Who gave him chalk? Whoever gave him chalk should probably be fired. What? What's he doing? He's... oh my. Whole wall of the cell's covered in mathematical equations. He's still writing more now. Well, you're fired, Random. Professor, sorry to interrupt. Oh, Mr. Naruto. And who was this young lady? My name is Sasato Mikotoba. I'm Mr. Naruto's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Oh, if only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner. None of this would have happened. No, that's not logical. That makes no sense at all. Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you. I owe you an apology too, Professor. I managed to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning. Oh no. The whole thing, the whole miserable affair. It's all happened because I've been such a complete and utter clot. Professor Hairbrain. What have you been working on yourself? Oh, well, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see. I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had in hand. Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe? No, actually. This is my autobiography. Your autobiography? I do not have the whip sound effect on right now, no. 1 second. There we go. How is it diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain? I've found I can represent my old fortunes with only odd numbers and an ambitious set of simultaneous equations. Really? I went to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. Gonna be a new serial publication from next month, part 1, an odd birth, an odd upbringing. Can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case? Oh, yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled. I was fiddled. By a pair of them.
by Asmund, and by the aloof engineer, Mr. Drebber.
We're not gonna have to sit through another explanation of all these equations, are we? Second, me. You hate it, huh? Good. You would hate watching that show then.
Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Asmund, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even.
I'm sorry it's come to this. There was really no other way.
No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. In the end, it didn't even matter. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public.
No, of course you didn't.
But in court this morning, I realized something.
Oh?
You've done something wrong without knowing it. If you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you're aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me.
Oh, Professor.
He believed in me this morning, you know. Bark did. He believed my hypothesis.
Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing this case.
No, Barak wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it.
Did he?
I think I understand now. Why was it he decided to take on the prosecution in my trial, I mean? After the terrible accident that happened, nobody would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not even lawyers, any lawyers even.
Feel like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there.
So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Barak, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense.
And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor.
Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Barak insisted I was a proper man of science from start to finish.
You think that's why you...
I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul.
But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he?
Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appeared to have some flaws in it.
What about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea?
Do you think he set off to trick me from the very start?
I'm sorry to say that does seem likely, yes.
When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused, so empathetic.
But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems.
I still can't believe it.
As the machine was essentially set decoration for some stage magic. Probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually. But the scale of it wasn't just some small trick. Very elaborate feat of deception.
All young scientists are full of hope and their beginning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money. We all want to do research, but we can't afford it. Many of us take on legal part-time work, try and earn a few mealy pennies to carry on. To go through all of that, only to be taken for a complete fool. So rotten to believe.
It is, I agree. That's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asmund's no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer.
Mr. Inuch Drebber.
Is he an engineer, or a magician, or a swindler?
It was about a year ago when Mr. Asmund first brought Mr. Drebber to meet me in my laboratory. Since then, I met him many times and discussed details about the kinesis machine.
Yeah, money is a pain, but that's why I appreciate all of you for giving me your time and sometimes money for doing just stupid voices over a screen. I'm happy to earn smiles more than I am to earn money. But I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so. Bleh. Who knows how much they need just to prove that a dog can bark? No point, do you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist? Having to deal with grants? Oh, think how Kieran feels, having to deal with grants all the time. Considering how much you torture Random, I'm sure you're smiling right now. Even if it's not because of me, Mimikyu. He definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. This is instantly apparent from our conversation. I see. But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. Must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Any more clues you can give us to his whereabouts? I'm sorry for torturing you with bad jokes, Random. I'm sorry, we only ever discussed the Kinesis machine, nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit him in his workshop. What workshop? Jabba's enormous fabrication laboratory, where he constructed my great machine. Well, why didn't you mention this before? You know, Jabba's workshop. Every chance we might find the man there. Yeah, why didn't you mention this before? You been to Jabba's place of work, then? Yes, just once, you understand. It was an enormous place. Plenty of room to construct the Kinesis machine, you see. Where can we find it? We gotta get there at once. It's a good chance we'll find Jabba there. Well, yes, definitely. I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry. I was more than half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there. He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances then. But the place was incredible. Pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Ah, the indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget the scent formula and use that instead. What do you think, Mr. Sato? Do a machine for your next birthday? Never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruto, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor. You don't have a business card from Mr. Drebber, for example? Man was clearly very cautious, Mr. Sato. I'm sure he noted. Aha! Yes, I do. He gave me his business card once. It's right here. Look. What? Let me see that. Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you? You know, Drebber, engineer. Bet that's all it says. There's no address. No. Oh well. Can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could be useful. Drebber's got advantage of the gold record. Always look at the back of the card. This dark smudge here. Thinks perhaps it's a machine oil. Ah, yeah, possibly. Also weird, how did we change clothes? Professor Harebrain mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, right? Said it was specially import for very high quality oil it's impossible to obtain in Britain. Yes, that's right, but more importantly, that's more fragrant than the finest perfume, so excuse me a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all. Don't worry, I expect that just because there's such a tiny amount there. It doesn't, like, open or anything? No, it's just a card. Mr. Harebrain, what do you make of this? Oh yes, that's just what we need to prove my hypothesis, isn't it? No, it's nothing new with your hypothesis, actually. Then take it away. I don't want to be bothered with anything that doesn't assert my science. Alright, keep your abundant hair on. What about this bird cage?
Hmm? Are we just carrying this thing around?
Look here, Mrs. Otto. The wood's cracked and broken a little. Suppose it's because it fell from such a height? Yeah, from the height at which the balloon was flying down to the crystal tower below. All about 30 feet, or 9 meters. Leaving the man inside tragically dead.
Hmm. You want your screwdriver back?
Professor, do you recognize this?
Oh, it's Andrew, my faithful friend. How have you been? Are you alright? Nobody's mistreated you, have they?
No worries, being very well looked after in my pocket.
I always rub him with machine oil until he's gleaming.
Right.
Well, then when I come in time to screw with him, he slips in my hand and I can't do it. That's the age-old problem faced by driver files over the world over, isn't it?
I really wouldn't know, I'm afraid.
How could this have happened?
Must feel awful. As well as a man losing his life, the crystal tower was greatly damaged too.
I know what happened. It must have been that.
That?
The day before the demonstration, at my usual... when I paid the bill, they gave me 3 shillings too much in change. Instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coin in my pocket. I've been cursed. Divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what this is.
For scientists, he has some very logical antidotes. Long and illogical.
Well, maybe the scientist is here now. Nope. Oh, wait, I know who can help us. Toby, go!
About this, Gina.
Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E. So if it ain't too much bleeding trouble.
Actually, Gina, it's the back of the car that's important.
Eh? How come? There's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all.
It turns out this is very high quality French machine oil. Has a very particular scent, apparently.
You don't say. Let's have a whiff then. You sure? I don't smell nothing.
No, we didn't mean that. You should smell it.
Oh, right. You mean Toby. Here you go, Poop. Woof.
It sends to smell good, he can track people over oceans, can't he? Professor Harebrain informs us this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop.
Oh, good. He has his own little sniff emote. Sniff, 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 sniff.
He's picked up a scent.
So you mean if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy Cove workshop?
That's right. That's exactly what we were hoping.
Alright then, give it a go. I'll just borrow that.
Wait, when did you... Wants a pickpocket?
Lead everyone to that Mr. Drebber's workshop. I'll be the boss's boss for next week.
Oh yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted.
Or poor Gregson. Yep, the double bore. Alright then, Odo, leave it to me.
Sorry?
Gonna get going after that dodgy engineer Cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time.
Afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina. Also, we're not cops.
Alright. Oh well, never mind. Ain't gonna be me what gets the neck. It'll be the boss.
Poor Gregson again.
Ready, Toby? Get that oil scent, have you? Come on then, boy.
Do hope the scent of that oil leads them to that swindler's workshop. Yeah, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Still nothing here. Still nothing here. Still some Borks. Wonder where Iris is supposed to be. We haven't seen her since, you know, she was up here. Nothing here, so the only thing left is the prison. I must have had to give him something. Ah, fascinating, yes. In Japan, where I come from, the symbol of the defense lawyer. Wearing is very bracing, I find. Your words make some sense to me, but they are entirely illogical. What do you mean? Well, for example, find this whole wide light library code. Oh, we already read this. Make up for all the ones I missed. Actually, now that she's gone, I guess we can just walk upstairs. Right? Man, I can't up the stairs area now. For to bump into the forensic investigation team, it sounds like it could be trouble. Oh, well. Darn. What have I not... Take a look at this photograph? No. Nope, nothing. Maybe there's something to examine here that I wasn't looking at. No, I can't even examine here. Very interesting. Yeah, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whoever's on the other side of them, you just know it's gonna be terrifying, don't you? Sign says it's the Madame Tuspel's special exhibit. Seems you have to pay extra to go inside. I know, can you believe that? Pay more money? As if we hadn't been scared enough already. It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo. It might be. You know how money works. Capitalism. Must be something in the laboratory I didn't see. But... it's so quiet. Spooky, scary skeletons. And shivers down your spine. Aha. Look at this big, thick book here. Appears to be an accounting ledger. Record of forensic investigation team spending, I think. Oh? What is it? Could the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but... one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month. 500? Must be working really hard on dissecting corpses. I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. Scalpel blades can be sharpened, too. It does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be using all them for?
What are you doing?
Yeah!
I'm not sure I can trust her. She has too many snakes.
Sorry, we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so...
So you thought you'd snoop around? That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want?
Lord Strongar told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Asmund's body, I mean.
We came to ask you about your findings.
On Lord Strongheart's advice.
Very well. Lord Chief Justice has given his consent. I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when you're done, you must leave immediately.
Okay, whatever.
So you want to know what the forensic investigation team has determined from its examination of the scene? The victim, Mr. Odai Asman, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Asmund who appeared moments later partway up to the Crystal Tower, were without question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion.
But that can't be right.
If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out.
Whoa. Did I freeze? Two people who look very similar to each other were involved. They could have been made to appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they?
Very true, but sadly in this instance that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared were the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident.
Yeah, fingerprints. They're like ballistic marks on the human body, right?
Though not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system. But one day they'll be used as investigative aid as a matter of course.
Oh my, but that would mean... instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So where does that leave us?
My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions.
Oh. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to another. It was launched. It doesn't clear anything up at all. Made the whole thing even more of a mystery.
This is not a good look for you, but...
Mama, what is this? Ah, where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama?
This is a lawyer, dear.
Oh. Hello. To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yeah, I'm a defense lawyer. Ryusuke Naruto.
Mama, can I cut this one up?
What?
Never seen the inside of an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like. Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see. Oh, boring.
I think I just had a near-death experience.
Oh dear. Mr. Naruto, you're pale as a corpse.
Let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. We can just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber.
Sure, Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, I think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point, even though he's never been there. If things discussed, I'm dying to meet him again after all these months.
Yeah, it's quite impossible he might know something useful, you're right. I ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit, even though he hasn't been all day.
Iris told me about his unusual adventure.
Just gonna leave?
No, everyone is clearly different. What if people from the eastern side of the world have eastern side organs?
mimic you. You don't know until you find out. Here we are again. All again on our own, at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't got used to this place yet. I still like to turn on my heels and go straight home. Via the confectionery, of course. Zasada really is after something sweet today, isn't she? What's the matter? Look, Mr. Naruto, look at that waxwork. Quite sure it wasn't there before. Here I am. Looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes, down to the very last detail. Aha! Oh, sorry. Think you'll find... That's the temporary waxwork himself. Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee. Oh yeah, hello again. Ryusuke Naruto. I must say, I'm quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs. You don't mean... But yes, the mystery is solved already. Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough. So as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties. Yeah. His habitual duties? Alos. Do not disturb him. Poor Sasato. Looks very perplexed. We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I am longing to say hello again. But where is he? Right there. Think you might find he's quite nearby, actually. What do you... Indeed, my dear fellows! Hello! How do I look with my chest exposed like this? And my fingerless glove. Wait, I already had those. You know what's extra upsetting? Is that his right glove, which is on the left, has 2 fingers fully exposed, whereas his other glove is just a normal fingerless glove. But it has no sleeve. He's a fox? With an exclamation point on his face. It is I, the world-famous great detective and waxwork, Herlock Sholmes. Yep, it is. Also, hello, Zeke. Hope you're having a good day. Sasato! Sasato! Well, she's dead. My most humble apologies. I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment, via London. My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point, along with it's not of questionable street food quality. I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes? Oh, the pipe changed too. That's pretty neat. Merely a secret identity, you understand? Though the case is largely solved now. Largely solved? We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume. Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today, for that matter. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Goes my tumble, tumble, tumble. That summon grumble echoed around the whole museum. How'd you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well, do remember I said I was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone? Oh yes, it's a most modern invention allowing you to hold conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet. And like, they're saying about how someday we'll even have ways to just converse with people over oceans. Just at the flick of a wrist. How crazy is that? This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxworker was returned. That's amazing!
Just between you and I, it would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event.
Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible demanded a ransom, no?
Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive.
But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary?
A fact I must ask you keep from Madame Tusples at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street, after all.
Poor Iris.
Now then, do I sense you have some business with this great waxwork?
I'm in the process of trying to track somebody down.
Oh?
Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Dreber. He's a swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine.
A swindler and an engineer? Quite the modern man.
Also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. Really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. We have so few clues to go on. That's the trouble. Any good ideas?
I have no data yet. It's a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something in the man's appearance at least, I may be in a better position of help.
Yeah, Dreber's appearance. The appearance of Dreber. Dreber's appearance, huh?
Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I shall gladly give you my thoughts on it.
Okay. Now the important thing. I'm gonna punch you for. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us?
At which point? My dear Mr. Marudo, say that piercing stare, what is this about?
Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship. We were even animated in a cutscene. Your words were very clear.
So then, let us unravel this mystery, and discover what events led to this curious murder.
You told us that it was murder. And you examined Kazuma's body.
Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? Lies, get it?
Met him earlier today, the victim, Kazuma Asogi.
You're quite sure?
He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure. It was Kazuma. You must have known the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead.
Well, I can only assume that I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere at the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all? Priceless. I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruto?
I can believe the crewman present at the time made a mistake. But not you, Mr. Sholmes.
I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that.
Please, Mr. Sholmes.
Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. But now I'm afraid that's all I can say.
That didn't tell us a dang thing. Why can't anyone just give us a straight answer? Anyway, here's your stupid photograph. Doesn't make me laugh. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print without laughing? It's of Enoch Dreber, the face of the engineer we seek.
Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. Looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive.
Are you alright, Mr. Sholmes?
Ah, yes, forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed.
What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden.
I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruto. Will you indulge me?
Oh, well, what is it?
As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains.
Oh yeah, the professor exhibit, isn't it?
Would you like to see it for a mere 5 shillings? That's a special one-time only price, you understand.
What?
Opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor?
Oh, we'd have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone?
The price is very reasonable, 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it.
Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes?
Surely you'll need to look at my expression to ascertain the seriousness or silliness.
I can never tell with you. That's the point. Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings.
Gratefully received. So the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to pursue it at your leisure.
Well, the money's been spent, so let's go and see the special exhibit.
What will we see?
There's heavy curtains at last, even though we've already been through here. Just ignore that part. Don't worry about it. Oh, I guess we have to actually do things. 5 shillings we've had to pay. Doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket, does it? No. We could ask Ina to retrieve it for us, using your special skills. Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. That's what makes Britain great. Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands and chip-loving inspectors. Quite a cast of characters we have. Inspector Gregson comes off rather well on that list, I think.
Does he? Clearly he's cheating the laws of physics with that, bottomless pit of chips. Why is the head missing?
Oh dear, I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here. Mr. Sato, say we turn our heels and go straight home. Be the really big confectionery. We certainly can't do that. We paid 5 shillings already. True. Actually, now I'm looking more closely.
Would you be a demigod if it just meant you could have an endless bag of chips?
Paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. Nerve of a great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place. This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said that the case was largely solved. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? If we played 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we? Yes, we get what we paid for. Not the fear or frustration that's making Sasato's voice tremble.
The demigod of M&Ms. I don't know, Apollo seemed to be the god of, like, everything. Although, I guess, yeah, demigods themselves were barely anything. Like, even Hercules was just, I'm really strong. Like, yeah, I can lift a mountain, but you shoot me in the chest and I'm probably gonna die. And poor old Achilles. I don't know, did he qualify as a demigod? One second. Achilles did qualify as a demigod? Then yes. They tend to have some weird weakness. I guess Gregson's weakness is just he can only summon chips. Alright, let's get to the head of this matter. Zeus had too many children, don't bother. He had a child with a lady as a goose. So, just don't worry about it.
This must be the killer. The fiend knows the professor. Yeah, I think so, according to what Madame Tuspel said. Killed 5 victims, all noble or royal blood. Waxburg is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place. I know, looks like they could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only he had a head, that is. If only he had a brain. Examine a little more detail. This is the condemned man. Yeah, the so-called professor. Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as the headless ghost. The horseless headless horseman. Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mrs. Sato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. Metal fitting for it, see? Then perhaps Mr. Sholmes absentmindedly forgot to reattach it? That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it? Or perhaps the thief absentmindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned to the museum? And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason. Means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. Something caught just in the convict's jacket here. Looks like a piece of broken glass, and quite a big piece, too. Very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than the normal window glazing, I'd say. Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder? Gee, I wonder. Suppose it's been made thick to increase its strength? But why? Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as a big building, or a big crystal tower? Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass was broken, too. You don't mean... Exactly, the crystal tower at the Great Exposition. Why would glass from the crystal tower be lodged inside this waxwork stat jacket? Really makes you think, doesn't it? Earlier in court, we established the kinesis experiment was a trick. Now we discover this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence? I think not. Who are you? This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real. You need to be a young man with a white overcoat. And he has a large shovel in his hand, too. Or is it a spade? Perhaps we should investigate a little more detail. Why did he move? What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with a shovel in a graveyard in the middle of the night? Miss Sato. That's a spade, isn't it? No, it's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. That's a spade. We've been through this, Mr. Naruto. It's a shovel. No. Although, we haven't considered trowels. We've allowed ourselves distracted, I feel. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement. So we're gonna bury the hatchet? With the spade? You're right, though. What was the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question. What's this here? This would be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera. Ah, a camera, but it's so small. Various technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints? I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would a man in the graveyard be here at night with a camera? Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film. We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. Look at this photographic plate inside the camera. We can see what picture was taken. What's a photographic plate? It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reads the light coming from through the lens. If you open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look. See yourself, Sasato. Your eyes are shining. Really do like machinery, don't you? Is it okay for us to just, take stuff? Can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just... Oh, do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruto? I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry. Why don't you just walk around him? There's a lot of room. It's gonna pop off, isn't it? What on earth? How can... I don't believe it! A black monocle! Mr. Naruto, is it possible that this man is... Yeah. It's Ernest Trevor! Even though he doesn't have white hair. Color of his hair is different, but it's unmistakably him. He looks more brown than... Indeed it is. Mr. Sholmes! This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Yeah, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? Why does the convict behind him have no head?
The head was missing when the model returned by the thief who stole it.
What a surprise. So the case isn't yet solved, is it?
Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believed. I must locate the missing head, tout est sweet, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. Ha ha! A very hungry iris awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations.
Yag! Do you know, though, something about this room is strange. Strange? What do you mean? Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not?
Indeed they are, Miss Sato. Do go on.
And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't have ever really happened, could it?
I think it's time I educated you a little. On zombies! About the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. Okay. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, every one of them being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies.
Oh gosh, an enormous hound? Of Baskerville, perhaps? How awful.
After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. Case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand? Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted.
A closed court? You mean the professor's identity?
As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty, and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave in Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins near the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. The very night he was buried, the convicted man came back to life.
Came back to life?
He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged of the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene as described by the sole witness to those chilling events.
There was a witness?
But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat.
Enoch Trevor. He saw it happen? This waxwork model of Enoch Trevor.
10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave at the dead of night. He had a hook shot and was complaining about some man in green stealing it from him when he won a race as a ghost, and was very upset that he never gave it back. But the sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old.
It's so horrifying.
Scared out of his wits, the young Trevor ran to a nearby police station to report the incident.
We got zombies in an Ace Attorney game? Literally the first 3 Ace Attorney games have zombies, technically. Well, we have ghosts possessing bodies at least, right? Or you just conveniently forget Mia and Maya existed. Fei Fi Fo Fum. The ghosts of the dead are here to run.
The sheer terror of what he'd seen said to have turned his hair white overnight.
Yeah, it's shown in the photograph. Makes me laugh. We have of him. His hair is completely white. Are they not zombies?
For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was created here at the Madame Tussauds.
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. What I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing here in the first place. In a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night. Yeah, what was he up to? They were spirit mediums, yes.
But what is a zombie if not a ghost possessing a body? It's really just a body doing its own thing, but that's not the point. The professor's acts of terror threw London and upper classes to a complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yeah, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did the talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale. But what about the people? Why did people stop believing in it? Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where he had been following the execution. No, but that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing's been heard from him since. Rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really come back to life. That's not possible. Drebber's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, hard to believe the incident was out-and-out lie. Ah! What the bleeding nor, Odo? What are you gone and done? Ina, what are you doing here? Oh, she still has that then. I asked Cyrus, you said where you be, so... Kina, not so loud in the museum. Madame Tussbles will have you take position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still have some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so... Alright, Kina, we understand. Please, put down the gun. Sorry, I got scared. You should try being one on the other end of the barrel. Although she shot the roof. What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. Found the Dodgers Cove's workshop. What? You found Drebber's workshop? Yep. Toby's nose took me straight there. Boss and the others are heading over there now in a drag, so come on. Here's the address. Got the boss to write it out. Thank you, Kina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then. See you there. That's a good salute. There. Salute taken. You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? Every time he speaks, part of his cheek goes into his face, and that's weird. I know my place in the exhibit over there. Oh dear, someone's feeling sorry for himself. Let's go, Mr. Sholmes, you're coming. Your words harden me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madam would have to pay monetary recompense and Iris's dinner plate would be empty once more. Forget that, I'll pay for everything. Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. No offer to share the cost for Mr. Sholmes, then. I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruto. Thank you, Miss Sato. Right, let's go. I mean, aren't we already paying rent, though? We live in his house. Oh, boy. That looks like... another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. How many times have I had to say that? Indeed, it would appear so, though it's only a prototype, naturally. Ah, so you got here then? Gina, well done for finding this place. Such a little time. You really worked miracles. It's Toby here who did the miracle worker. Oof. Ah! Thought you lot would show up before long. Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. Looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. What's wrong with his face? Is he allergic to dogs?
So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. Didn't find a soul in here. Oh, what a shame. Thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue you lot turned up. Wouldn't want to say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Also, you just casually mentioned that in front of her, but whatever. Hey, if you're able to stoop around here, I get cracking. Lord Van Zeek and the forensic investigation team are on the way here as we speak. Him again. Man, you got a picture by now. They don't take kindly to lawyer types, even though Van Zeeks is a lawyer.
So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance.
Then you, Sholmes.
Pardon?
They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do lawyers. Ha ha ha!
Ah, very droll, Gregson, very droll. May consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model.
If only. Alright then, let's see what we can find here. Well, clearly Random lives in the clouds. Being a cloud. Sorry, Mr. Naruto, that machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Serious repercussions if you were to examine it. From the Crown and the government. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back.
It's quite hollow inside, no working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow.
No loose change dropped to the floor or nothing. Not even a bone for Toby, eh? My dear fella. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they? I think that's just these two, Mr. Sasato. Welcome back. We're still working hard at figuring things out. This is... It's a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside. Do you suppose... Crossbow bolts, these. Just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the expedition grounds. Those aren't bolts, those are arrows, but whatever. Yep, made more evidence to support your theory. All goes to show that Drebbo was one pulling the strings behind the scene of the whole scam. What about this weird trophy?
Appears to be the most interesting.
Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's impressive looking back massager, that's for sure. No doubt if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away.
It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor.
Ah!
Would you like a massage?
No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. I think I've become increasingly clear. There's much more to this Mr. Inoch Trevor than conjuring tricks.
I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Miss Naruto? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course.
He's not going to let that go, is he? It's curious, though, isn't it? You'd expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside.
He's not a Transformer, Mimikyu. I hope. Though his hair did transform white.
English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. What on earth is this? An aeroplane, Mr. Naruto. One day scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies. That how the trick will be described, is it? Sorry? It's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it? Oh, well, this model is, yes, but a real aeroplane would just fly high in the sky. While suspended from somewhere even higher than the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in midair unsupported. So to you, the solution is ever taller towers? Not a good thing to say, really. Doesn't look like there's much to do. There's a door over here, though. This door doesn't want to open. Looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it. Fabulous locksmith on his way over from the yard.
so hands off till it gets here. With permission, Inspector, I could have it lock open in less than a minute. No, you don't have permission. And no one's giving it to you.
Makes it look as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sound of anyone on the other side. No, Trevor must have fled at the first sign of danger. Oh, something wrong, Mrs. Sato? Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too?
Yeah, I heard it all. What you reckon, Toby? Alright, mind the grace. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. Like that'd ever work. Well, he's definitely running away.
Oh my, someone is in there. Well, was.
Ah, this rotten bleeding lock. My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, well, actually seconds ago, if it were only counting dance, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Yeah. I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door. Whoosh, click. There, you may enter at will.
You confused minutes with seconds, I think.
Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. Strong possibility that beyond this door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow.
Yeah, I got my sword at the ready. No license to use it, though.
That's dynamite. Uh-oh.
What? What's happening here? Why is everything upside down?
Rats, there ain't no one here after all.
But there must be. It was only moments ago we heard noises. Yeah, you heard it.
Him going down a ladder.
Yeah, it was the sound of Drebber running away. Only one door in this room.
And no windows that could afford an escape route. Except for the ones up there. The skylights are too high, although there are footsteps right there.
What's that up there? Are they footprints? On the ceiling?
Tell me, what do we have here then? You're just gonna ignore the dynamite with the timer? Looks like someone was trying to burn something in a hurry.
Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints.
The President Airplane's bar machine, isn't it? Blimey, if we had these, there don't need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. Something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar.
A rope? What's significant about that?
Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Haruhodo.
Must investigate this entire room thoroughly.
Are we just gonna ignore you know what? I'm gonna do that one last. Clearly it's not important.
A large safe. I don't suppose even Mr. Sheldon could open that lock. Although if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose. It's bolted to the ground. It's bolted to the floor to prevent that exact sort of underhand trick, Mr. Naruhodo. Well then, could just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever's inside must be very important. Really lovely model. Looks just like a real flying balloon. It is a real flying balloon. I think it's probably staying aloft in the same principle as a full-size balloon using gas. A green flying balloon. Does have the hallmarks of that amazing deception at the Great Exposition, doesn't it? Could it be the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? Almost every piece of furniture is upside down. Even Mr. Shelbsby isn't ever in this much of a mess. No position to comment on mess, Miss Nardo. I suppose not quite the same thing, is it? It's not messy in here per se, it's that everything is literally upside down. But why? You have to turn your thinking upside down. No denying it, is there? There's footprints. Here, just for you guys, I will give you an optical illusion real quick. There we go. Doesn't everything look right side up now? Yes, it would appear so. I don't know how to speak upside down. It's weird how turning the letters upside down makes it look like a different language. Doesn't it? I think if we make another language by using upside down letters, we'll call it verticalligraphy. Vertical calligraphy. Vertical fee. There we go. That's just shorthand. Isn't there a Sasato shoot up or something? Like a Sasato takedown, I mean, but with guns. I'm no Wonder Woman, Miss Naruhodo. How do you know who that is? That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose. Alright, looks like that's the only thing to examine, so... Mr. Sholmes. You found something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. Looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a large watch to me, but... Mr. Sato, what is it? What's the matter? That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? Thought... Did you say? A time bomb? Sorry, but... What's a time bomb exactly? Haha! Truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I won't take that as a compliment. Heh, you don't know nothing, do you, Odo? You haven't got a clue what it is either, to have you, Yena. Now, I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. This particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it's a very similar appearance. Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it? Is it just a clock? I see, so that's it. Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? Nope. Times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I'm fated to never know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Sasato. Here we go, I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first, the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is that of the work of Drebber himself. Oh, but how could you state the obvious? Second conclusion. Small device on the floor here is without a question completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. Be a pleasure. After all, it's a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Ah! Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway. You deflect the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Mr. Sato. If you make her explode, I will stab you. Ow. Shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to begin. His logic and reasoning spectacular. Oh, his outfit came back. Do we have to do this again? I don't want to read everything. Hey, wait, the picture's wrong. And now it's back to this. Wait a second. I'm not even gonna bother reading it. Because I have to read it again anyways. Gravity? I don't like this scene. He's calling upon gravity itself. He's got magic powers that I don't appreciate.
Ow. Anti-gravity device. I don't like everything floating. Also, if you're wondering why I'm not reading, it's because they always make you do it twice. Probably the biggest flaw of this game is his deductions. Hey, wait a second. Stop changing your outfit. That's the real magic trick. I will probably switch their outfits back after this. Indubitably. I've already figured out this trick, but we'll see where this goes. By inverting the gravity in here, Drep was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling. Why am I still up here? Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. Personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. It's not fun. That's a horrifying concept. Yeah, problem with this outfit on Sholmes isn't that it looks ridiculous, because he always looks ridiculous, but you can see like very small smudges where his skin is like clipping into itself, because he's not supposed to have arms or a revealed cheek there. You know? You can't see because of the text box, but his elbow is like clipping into itself. It's very awkward. Yeah, on his chin and on the cheek right below his eye. Completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's one thing that troubles me. Just one. I expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. Thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean? I would say that man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. However improbable it may seem. Ah. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I'd always come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yeah, I have a feeling I've read it something that Mr. Sato lent me once. Objection. Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, spell's broken at last. The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Dread would use it to escape the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find, do ropes. And the evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery be facing this room, now skillfully unraveled.
Argument as circular as the coils of a rope. Next time you may give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. Starting with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth. Yeah, you're right. Must do it quickly before Innistribber gets too far away.
He's already in France by now. If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Sholmes, the logical and reasoning spectacular.
But now we get to see Ryu's outfit. Oh, I just noticed something. If you look at the very bottom, you can see that Susato has a little bunny on her purse. That's not something you can actually see in her normal text box self. I feel like a bunny came up at some other point with her. And there's a loud car outside, but... She also has hearts and flowers everywhere on this outfit. She's got hearts down her arms, on the back of her hand. She's got the flower patterned on her hat, with a heart in the middle. It's a pretty cute outfit.
Plain to see this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and the chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Except for the paintings, ignore that. Almost every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down to the floor.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that...
Indeed. The key is there.
It is gravity.
Here the technology has last succeeded in freeing us from the great pool of the earth. I wish. The gravity in this room was reversed, then was suddenly restored to normality. Further furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business.
I think gravity could have been reversed in this very room. The whole idea is utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes can conceive of such an explanation. And the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Yes, you're quite right. Must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusual merciless of you, Susato. If you have eliminated the impossible, whatever it means must be the truth. Great detective himself said so, didn't he? Well, refusing to part with his dreams of an anti-gravity device. Those are also my dreams. Well, let's see, examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely. Reveals some proof that shows exactly what gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Well, well, wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers here, that's for sure. And look at that. Nope, not when they're talking on screen or in pictures for some reason. I know, the slender vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? To be honest, Mr. Naruto, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me. Oh, I can't look at the safe number. Look, Miss Susato, everything else seems to be upside down here. Safe is conspicuously right way up, have you noticed? That's true, but look more closely at the safe's feet. Ah, that's a lot of very large bolts fixing to the floor. Or the ceiling. Think before you speak, that's what you wanted to say, isn't it? Really put my foot in my mouth there. I certainly didn't say that, but I was thinking it. So there's his outfit, covered in all of Mr. Sholmes' flower icons. He also seems to have Sholmes' missing glove. Well, sleeve. The upright face clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business.
Upon my word, Mr. Naruto, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps?
No one's trying to steal your spotlight there, Mr. Sholmes, trust me.
As you rightly say, though it appears to be at first glance that all the furniture in the room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor.
And it's the exception that breaks the rule.
In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room is never inverted at all!
My deepest sympathies for your loss, and Briley's loss.
Poor Mr. Sholmes, forever being held down by gravity. But the show must go on. Let's continue our deductions.
Oh, I'm here too now.
What is that?
Look at the far right. There's a tiny little mouse on his shoulder. A tiny little police mouse.
Was that there in the previous scene? I don't recall seeing it there, but now it's there.
And it's got little flower ears.
Like how everything is just continuously floating upward. Now we know this contrivance is in fact not an anti-gravity device, there remains but one possibility. No, yeah, it's just stapled to his shoulder.
You don't say.
Someone that deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here.
Might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that?
Quite, and naturally there's an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything has been turned upside down is because of this anti-gravity device. Nope, that's wrong.
He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he? Maybe the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong.
Kazumouse. As long as it doesn't get amnesia.
Whatever it was must have had a reason.
I mean, nothing comes to mind at all, though.
Now let's look around, see if the answer presents itself. There's something written on the other side of this armchair. Oh yeah, safe 432582. Safe as in safe and secure? As in secure lockable box, I think. Admittedly more likely. Now there's large safe bolts to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes. You mean this number would let us open it? I wonder why it's written here, though. Already established that gravity wasn't actually reversed here, haven't we? In other words, this isn't an anti-gravity device at all. Makes me very curious to know what sort of device it is. I think for now it's clear we're looking for an answer elsewhere.
Oh, I was hoping we could, figure out what it is. Even though it's clearly a bomb.
Yeah, the reason why everything here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination.
Precisely, I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not?
Yeah, last year. When I got a lottery ticket and noted the ticket down inside the cover of a book just in case.
Oh, the little mouse does have Kazuma's sword, I think. We can get a zoom in on that. That's it, for people with forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of the important information.
Just keeping a ticket itself would be more sensible, I think.
And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo?
The day the draw came around, I had forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it.
That's it, for people with forgetful souls at heart, and always forget where they've noted things down.
Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I slipped the ticket into, so I had to return my room upside...
Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe I proved my point now. Which is why a very similar scenario is clearly unfolded in this room.
Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. Remembered that he'd written it on the other side of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one.
Leading to the state which we find the room. Mr. Driver overturned all the furniture in here in a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe.
How did he turn over his bed? How strong is this man?
Let's consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his action is above our heads. But could you turn over your entire room with it? In like 10 seconds? Yet how is it possible there are footprints all the way up there in the ceiling? Question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Well, if the change in direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did the footprints get there? Feels those particular mysteries just become even harder to solve. Can you think of any way to explain it at all? Life was much simpler in those Hyclone days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago. And those Hyclone days never existed in the first place. I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe every detail around. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us in these situations in the first place. Hard to believe it, but there's a shoe up there. Look! There are more footprints on this little balloon, too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid. This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's teeny, but it does seem to be a real balloon. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up. Being gas balloon. Why does that seem to ring a bell with me? If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too. Look. Oh yeah, surely that's a clue, isn't it? Well, what it tells us, I'm not sure. That'd be the shoe. Since there are footprints on the ceiling, it's because of the nearby shoe. Closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon. Seems somewhat familiar data. This piece of green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruto and Iris found at the scene. Yep, there he is. We finally got to zoom in. Look at the tiny mouse with his tiny sword, and it's got a bandana around it. We could restore Kazuma's memories just by, you know, throwing a bandana on him, right? Inside the green balloon, the Master Gotts claimed he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say, we assume the balloon here is just a model of the one used on that day? You're stealing my line, Mr. Naruto. There's a strong possibility that something may be concealed inside it. Something our Abseconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Most probably, Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by sailing it with a shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner to those lofty heights. Oh dear. We desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside. Just jump up there and grab it. It's within arm's length. As you may recall, I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. We just throw the rope up to the balloon and pull it down. To the ground, or just jump. Much easier said than done, I feel. It takes a very long time as well. True, perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? Take that! Then this crossbow.
Reach the intended destination. What better tool than this crossbow? One we found in the scene, in fact. In all likelihood, it belongs to Mr. Trevor.
The man had already brought it with him. The man had only brought it away with him that day. He could have avoided losing his shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? Probably the head of the professor. Yep, there he is.
What the? A waxwork?
Indeed it is, a waxwork head inside a metal mask. The mask is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock.
You can't see the face inside, that means. Just a moment, this is the head of the waxwork model. Does that mean... oh goodness.
I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Sato. Excellent.
Of course. A headless waxwork model without a horse. In case the abducted Madame Tussle's model that you largely solved. Only the head of the killer that was still missing.
Indeed it was, but I believe Madame Tussles will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor.
But why is it here?
This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing Professor from Madame Tussles, and returning it, sans tea, early today, was none other than Enoch Drebber.
This is incredible. Miss Professor's hairbrain case and the waxwork abduction are inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. And we're not going to give this back anytime soon.
Anyways, back to what I was doing. Here's our logical cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure.
Architect? You mean Mr. Drebber?
As seems quite impossible he exit via one of the skylights, obviously the man must still be in here at the room.
What?
His location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction.
He's right here somewhere in this room.
So, Mr. Naruto, will you do the honors?
Yeah, of course. It's always me. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be in the...
It's in the safe.
Before we gain access to the back room, we heard noises from in here.
Which tells us the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He must be feeling really annoyed and also asphyxiated from having to listen to all their nonsense from inside that safe.
He was in fact searching for the combination of the safe, which he didn't bother covering up.
And pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned the process, from which we deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber... Alright, it kind of bothers me. You probably missed it because of how fast they moved. It kind of bothers me that the mouse is only connected to his shoulder by one tiny foot. Why? What's the point? But I almost don't want to change it back just to see how this mouse looks in court. Might change Sholmes back, though. Is at this very moment inside the safe. No, I'm not. Oh, well, I suppose he's not then. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Inside the safe. Elementary, my dear Naruto. So, Mr. Naruto, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you?
Opening the safe, you mean?
Well, what else?
Let's see. Combination was 432582. I knew that. Just look at the chair, really.
Shouldn't Gregson be doing this?
I can explain. You found me.
Go ahead and
Yahaha! You found me.
How is he breathing? Why does he have a golden hand? Why does he have 2 monocles? He tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it's safe to say it didn't even matter. Okay, now he's Sonic, all of a sudden. Or he's a robot. What? What? Alright then, sir, Mr. Enoch Driver, I presume.
Correct.
You better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain to that bogus machine you built. And you showed up to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tusples as well.
Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions.
This guy's the weirdest character we've had to deal with so far, and we've had to deal with Mr. Natsume, and Sholmes.
Personally, I would advise you deactivate my little parcel first.
Deactivate? Your parcel?
I refer to, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in the most prominent position. Ha ha ha, I see. Sun silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then.
Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. Got 1 foot in the grave already. Thought you'd ought to help us get a killer, get us killed. We did waste a lot of time with that. Mr. Sholmes' attacks can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. Resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist. Ew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, I'm still here.
What happened here? What on earth happened here?
You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems.
Yeah, well, we'll be giving a thorough going over. Don't you worry, Trevor.
What fails to click with me? Do you enjoy these robot puns?
I guess, but we wasted so much time. Like, even if we didn't do all that, we easily could have just picked up the bomb and thrown it outside.
Is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt.
Whistling?
Ah,
1 second. Just eat the bomb. No, the only one that would eat the bomb is Toby. The woof. Ah, that would have been me. Oh. For some reason, I woke up in a fine metal today. Ah. No words, just tightly squeezed chips.
Clearly I must have a screw loose, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, and another one loose, and another one loose, and I couldn't remember which piece of furniture I'd written it down.
I also found a rope over by the wall.
I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So then I set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. That's how long it takes to be a big shot.
And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. Yeah, Van Zeke should have been here by now. On the plus side, he is on the far left of the stream. You can see right there.
Which, I will say, I could definitely see someone buying a figurine just for that. You know? And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe? Having first set this parcel ticking. Would I? Probably not. I would buy one of his hollow chalices, though. I don't know if I would use it or just throw it, though. Having first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. Got a death wish, have ya? I'm right beside a ticking time bomb. I would smash it on stream with my hand. My bare hand. I guess he wears gloves, though, so maybe gloved hands. Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch. I'm back. He thought of everything except how to get away if he was found. So, in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Ha ha! Precisely. And once you climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is filled with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. But why? I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans. Do you mean to say you were planning to blow us all up? No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah, I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. What I did not expect for you to do is talk about it. Your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face, besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth, and you know, weird hat thing? He's glaring pretty strongly at him. I think we have a fairly good idea what's been going on here now. One, two incidents you've evidently been involved in recently. I plead the fifth. There's a harebrained instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exposition. And the waxwork model you stole, which his head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor. Clad in the mask lock so strong, I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection, after all. That's enough. What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction on the investigation here. You don't, that's not how that works, but, yeah, well... Dr. Scythe again. Forensic team... investigation team are here. You know full well this engineer is a key witness. What are you allowing this lawyer access to him? Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. Duh. That's okay. You lot, leave at once. My dear madam. No need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, no way to greet old acquaintances, is it, Dr. Scythe? No. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. I got distracted. Why is that going so fast? Oh, because I forgot to turn off the thing. Whoops. Yeah, don't think you have any chuckle, has it? How do I turn off the thing? Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, did you not? Yes, you did disarm that one. Eh? What are you talking about? That one you mean? We're gonna blow up. We're gonna explode. I hope not. I'd rather not explode. An hour later that we heard the news. Enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage of the Great Exposition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. Be continued. Well, that said... that will probably be where we stop for right now. Because I got some stuff to do and I gotta eat some foods. So, thanks so much for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed our adventure. And yeah, it's already been quite a bit, 3.5 hours. I'm gonna go get some food and stuff. So thanks so much for watching and joining me for our adventure. I will probably return tomorrow to finish this up, but we'll see how that goes. Depends on how I feel. But either way, have a good night, and I hope you all don't explode. Bye for now.